Welcome to the Wargaming Garage and this 2000 point narrative battle between Sisters of Battle and Mad Dog McSweeney's Orc War. So, thousands of years ago, the Ebon Blade was thought lost by the Order of the Burning Shield. But over time, they've managed to piece together clues and fragments of information to find it here, or they think they found it here, in this broken cathedral, far from their normal posting on the borders of Imperial space overlooking the Ghoul Stars. So here, we are playing a narrative battle from the Battlefield Scenarios book, an older edition book, where we're essentially defending the line. There's objectives here, an objective there, an objective right in the corner over here. So they're the three the sisters must hold. This main one, we think here will be the relic, the Ebon Blade, hidden amongst this statue of Celestine. So that being said, let's have a look at the armies and see who is fighting today. So here's 2000 points of Sisters of Battle, led today by the Canoness. She has an enhancement, which is the Blade of St. Eleanor, which basically gives her +1 strength. It's +1 attack, damage and strength to her melee weapons. But if she's lost 1 or more wounds, then we can add 2. So she'll be leading probably a squad of sacrosancts. We shall see. With her is a dogmata. So she's going to be leading up a squad. Again, probably of Battle Sisters. We'll see. It does give them +1 objective objective control. So that would make sense to put them with a Battle Sister squad and sort of really ramp up that objective control. Then we move on to the 2 imagifiers. So those 2 imagifiers, basically they give 4-up invulnerable save, but whilst they're leading a squad of sacrosancts, that squad has a 2-up save. So for longevity, I mean, I'm tempted to put them with the Battle Sisters because obviously given that whole squad of 4-up invuln is particularly spicy. But the other thing that she can also do, if a squad is destroyed within 12 inches, we can re-roll the result of the miracle dice that we gain for that squad being destroyed. So then lastly, there is a Palatine. The Palatine has Fury of the Righteous, so while she leads a unit, they gain the lethal hits ability, and we can discard 1 miracle dice when this model's unit is selected to fight, and then basically if we score a wound, then it does a mortal wound in addition. So again, quite powerful when we get into melee with some of these sisters. Off the back of that, we have 3 penitent engines to run up the field and try and cause some chaos. We have a squad of Repentia with the Sister Superior. We then have behind those, we have 2 squads. There's one and there's another of Retributors. We have 3 squads of Sacrosancts designed to hold the line against the oncoming green tide. And then we have Rhinos, 2 of them, 2 Immolators to house the Retributors, and then for long range fire support we have the Exorcists. So the idea being that The exorcists will sit in the backfield. We're trying to escape this cathedral with the Ebon Blade. So the rhinos will be there with the engines running, the immolators will be there with the engines running, basically in an effort to for the sisters to hold and hold and hold, and then once they've secured the Ebon Blade, if it's here, then they'll dive into the rhinos and escape the battle grid. So with all that being said, let's go and see who they're up against today. So here is 1970 points of Orks. It's slightly below the 2000, and to be clear, I can't get the 4 squads of boys onto this table. So we do have, in addition to this, 4 squads of boys. I just couldn't fit them on. Such is an Ork army. And they're led today. He is back from the Pain Boys lab. We have Mad Dog McSweeney. He's ditched his squig for now. He's going to run around on foot for a bit. So he's sporting a super cyborg body. So because he's been with the Pain Boy, so there's been some modifications made to him, and he now has a 4-up feel no pain ability. When he leads a unit, because he can lead a unit of knobs or boys, they get +1 to the hit roll. And when he calls a Waaaaagh, he can add 4 to the attack characteristics of himself. So should be the biggest and the best. Let's hope so. So it's good seeing McSweeney back. It's been a little while coming, but here he is. Supporting him is a weird boy, and that weird boy will be leading up an Ork of boys at some point, no doubt. And he can obviously give the jump as a psychic power. So we can then redeploy that unit of boys. So you can fingers crossed that's going to come up. And then he has the Waaaaagh energy, so he can add 1 to the strength and damage characteristics of his headbanger weapon for every 5 models in that unit. So he'll be leading a squad of 10 boys today. In addition, there will be a big mech with a shock attack gun. He's going to be leading up. I'm not sure whether we'll lead up the squad, one of the looter boys squads, or the mech guns yet. We're not too sure what he's going to be leading up at the minute. But when he hits something, they must take a battle shock test. And whilst he's leading a unit, they can re-roll hit rolls of 1. So I'm not sure, mech guns or looters yet. We're not 100% certain, but we'll see when we deploy. In addition, there's, as I've said, 4 squads of boys, and there'll be 2 of those will be travelling in a truck to try and get up close and personal as quick as they can. And we may put the others into a battle wagon to again get nice up close as soon as we can. In addition to that, we have a squad of 10 knobs. We have a squad of 3 squig hog boys with a bomb squig. We've got a squad of war trikes, and at the back there a custom booster blaster. We've then got a squad of 10 commandos. We've got 2 squads of looter boys, and we have a squad of storm boys. So that is Mad Dog McSweeney's war. So let's head over to deployment and see what happens in the cathedral. So we're playing something out of this book today, the Battle Missions book. Like I say, it's an older book, it's an expansion, it's a Warhammer expansion book, and we're playing the Fighting Withdrawal mission today. So as you can see, we've got the 3 objectives. The enemy deployment is across the back there. Nothing gets set up in for the Orks. The sisters will set up, and then the Orks will come in. The enemy has the first turn in this mission, so they will just come in all from reserves, and then we'll go from there. A little bit like the convoy mission from the Vigilus book. So the Orks will all be in reserves, and then they'll set up at the start of turn 1, and then we'll go from there. So that's the battlefield, that's the mission, so let's go on to deployment. Okay, so here we are after deployment. The sisters have deployed as per the mission rules, and 2 of the exorcists are sat at the back for that long range fire support. There's a rhino with a squad of battle sisters in it here, and there's a rhino with a squad of repentia in it here. Both the immolators have got the retributor squads in them. Then we have here a squad of sacrosancts, sisters with the imagifier, another squad of sacrosancts with the canoness, and then hidden in the building here, securing that objective, you can just see the squad of sacrosancts with the palatine. Up here we have another squad of sisters holding the line above the barricade, for they can already hear the oncoming tide. And then we've got 3 penitent engines that have been escorted up here by the immolator and another squad of retributors. So the way the battlefield is going to work, the statue of Celestine is one objective, another objective here, another objective here in the corner, and then essentially all of these, this is one sort of big cathedral as such, or at least it once was, and now it is the scattered remains of that cathedral with the sort of, as you can see, the effects of battle inside this area with the craters. Nature's tried to reclaim it somewhat, but then each of these areas here is going to be its own miniature ruin inside this larger ruin. So if the Orks are behind it, they can't fire at this squad unless they can come around or come through the wall and see line of sight. But likewise for the sisters, okay, it's not considered one big ruin, it's ruins within ruins, if you like. I went for the thematic effect of the battle grid rather than anything else. Wanted the battle grid to tell a story. So all that being said, now we have to go on to Orks turn 1. So after deployment, it's been a bit of a mixed bag for the Orks. So the Orks can deploy upon this board edge and that board edge across here. Okay, so over on this side we've had the squad of mech guns. This is one unit led by the big mech with the shock attack gun. They've been joined by the war bikes and the squigs, looking to make, so these guys are going to be stationary, looking to try and get line of sight on everything that's in front of them throughout that set of ruins there, with the bike squad and the squigs looking to make use of their speed to come into the ruins through the trees and create some havoc. Around this side though, we've got the one squad of boys with the pain boy, another squad of boys, the squad of knobs with Mad Dog McSweeney, and the squad of boys in the battle wagon, and the squad of boys in the truck, the storm boys, looters, custom shooter, custom booster blaster, the squad of commandos, looters and tank busters all appeared down this fringe down here, down this side of the battle grid. We're looking to make short work of the immolator if we can with the tank busters and the rhino, and then some of these sacrosancts in the centre here. So the trap has been sprung by Mad Dog McSweeney. The sisters heard the rumbling of the Waaaaagh, and now it comes into view on the opposite side of the cathedral. So with that, the Orks have had first turn, so we'll go on to the shooting phase. So one thing to do at the start of the game is roll the miracle dice for the sisters. And we get a 4. Respectable, will not be changed. I'll just tally that up down there. So then with that, proper we'll go on to the Orks shooting phase. The Orks have lined themselves up here, and we're going to start off with everybody's favourite, the mech guns. So we'll start off with going left to right, sorry, right to left. The first one gets a 2, then a 3 for the middle one, and a 1 for the last one. So all of these, looking at what we've got in front of us, these things need dealing with. So they're going to put everything into the penance intentions. It's a bold move, but there we are. So we'll start with the first one, which was the middle of the range, the wobbly bubble, as it is. Okay, and that hits a d6 number of shots for 4 shots. And that hits on 4s and re-rolls 1s because of the mech. Okay, so 2 hits and re-roll that 1. So 2 hits. 2 misses, I mean. Okay, so strength 6, strength 9 versus toughness 6, 3s to wound. And 2 wounds. And they are -2, 3 damage each. And they go through, so that is 6 feel no pains. I feel a little bit of pain, but not a lot of pain. So that's 2 wounds go through on the first penance intention. So I'll just keep a little track of that. Okay. Next one is D3 amount of shots. But just 1. Hitting on 4s. Misses. And then the last one is 2d6. That's the shots. For 9. So 9 shots hitting on 4s. Rerolling any 1s. Okay. Reroll those 2 1s. Okay, they translate. So 4s to wound. Strength 6, toughness 6. Nothing. Okay. So the penance intentions now going to be hit by the big mech. So the big mech has d6 plus 1 number of shots for 6 shots. Hitting on 5s though, because he's a mech. Anyway, he's an orc. So hitting on 5s. 2 hits. Okay. Strength 9, toughness 6, so 3s to wound. So 1 wound goes through and it is -4. And it is d6 damage. So no save, so d6 damage. Oof. Okay, so 5, feel no pains. And again, wow, only takes 1 wound. Okay, so that is 3 wounds on the first penance intention so far. Dice available. That's rolling quite well for those feel no pains. Dice available. Just message me on Instagram at Wargaming Garage. Okay. On to the next squad and see what we can do. Okay, so moving our way around to the battle wagon, it's going to put everything into that first squad of battle sisters just there. We rolled off camera for the number of shots for the lobber. We've got a lobber and a big shooter. They're the same profile in terms of strength, AP and damage, so we roll them all together, but we get a few extra shots for the lobber being blast and whatnot. So hitting on 5s. It's not bad. Strength 5 versus toughness 3, so winning on 3s. Okay. So 3 up saves, because we can't obviously increase our save by anything else, because it can't go above our base level. Oh my god. So 3 die straight away. I'll take that. So working our way around to this squad of shooters, and we're going to fire everything into the sacrosanct. So they're within half range and rapid fire 1, so that's 4 extra shots. But they did move because they've completed they automatically have moved, so they're hitting on 6s. 1 hit. Strength 8 versus toughness 3, so 2s to wound though. Okay. Now for the spanner with his big shooter. That's more like it. He's showing how it's done, lads. Okay, so 3's to wound. Okay. And then 2 saves. Oh dear. So the only thing in range for the custom booster blasters, again, going to go into the sacrosancts and attempt to whittle them down somewhat. But the only thing that's in range and is well within half range is the rocket cannon. So the rocket cannon is 6 shots, but with rapid fire gets an additional 3. Hitting on 5s. So 3 hits. Strength 8, so wounding on 2s. All 3 wounds. It's -1. But they are an extra barricade, which does give them, I believe, additional cover. So back to 3 up saves, which they make. But they are suppressed now. That special ability with the rocket cannon means they're suppressed, so they are -1 to their hit roll. Okay, so on to the next unit. It's the only thing they can really get at. So the commandos are going to go into the immolator. It might be fruitless. It might get a wound or 2, who knows. Soften it up for the looters and the tank busters to go in. So we'll start off with the burners. There's 1 burner in there, so for 1 shot, doesn't wound. Excellent. We'll then start off with, there's 2 special sluggers in there. They're not within half range because they can't be, because they're just entered the battlefield, so they must be more than 9 inches away. Down there, so it's 8 shots, hitting on 5s. Okay, so 1 hit. Lots of noise made, daka daka daka, but all up in the air. And doesn't wound. And then a whole bunch of sluggers, which we'll do off camera. Unsurprisingly, the sluggers did no wounds at all. We did get 1 hit though. So now D3 number of shots with the rocket launcher for 3. Big 3. So hitting on 5s. Whoa. Wounding on 5s. 2 wounds go through. It's -2, so 5 up saves for the immolator. Makes 1, fails 1, and that is 3 damage onto the immolator. Not bad. Softened it up, you see. Okay, so back onto the looters, hitting into the immolator. So everything hitting on 6s. Okay. Winning on 5s. Oh, beautiful. So -1. So 4 up saves for the immolator. Makes 1 fails. That's a further 2 wounds go through. That's 5 wounds. He's got 6 remaining. So now on to the big shooter, which gets 2 extra hits because it's within range from the spanner. Hitting on 5s. Good shooting. Wounding on 5s. Wounding on 6s. No wounds anyway. Okay, so that's aptly softened up for the tank busters to come in and do what hopefully the tank busters do. So rolling off camera, we got 8 shots with the rocket launchers out of the tank busters, everything going into the immolator. See if we can pop this thing. So hitting on 5s. That is not bad. Here's the kicker though, wounding on 5s. 1 wound, -2, so 5 up save. Fails, and that's another 3 damage. So we've got 3 wounds remaining. So we have a pair of rocket pistols. Hit on 5s. Misses. Okay. So we've got 3 wounds remaining on the immolator. I'm not sure. I'm going to check if anything else can shoot. No, there's nothing else really can shoot. Everything down the line has shot what it can. We've certainly softened up the simulator. It's going to last one more turn, but that's about it. Lost a few sisters, and certainly put some wounds on some penitent engines, but now the sisters, it's their first turn. What will they do? Will they branch out and try and stifle the ability of the Orks to get into the centre of this cathedral? Will they hunker down and let the Orks bring the fight to them? Let's see what they do on sisters turn 1. So at the end of the command phase and movement phase for the sisters, we rolled another miracle dice. We've got a 4 and a 1 so far. We've brought the penitent engines up, as well as the immolator, with the melter flamer squad in, and then we've also brought the squad of sisters around. The immolator crashed the barricade, because why wouldn't it? So we brought the squad of sisters up, then moved the sacrosancts and the canoness up into their replacement. The squad of sacrosancts headed off over the barricade, looking for a charge into probably the looters. This squad with the Palatine stayed still, and then we brought the exorcists up to try and get line of sight both into a squad of boys over on this flank, but also in an effort to try and get some indirect fire and take out the battle wagon. This squad of retributors disembarked, and again are going to try and get line of sight on and make some take some shots into these boys here. So yeah, everything's moving. The Rhino with the Repentuin stayed still. They haven't disembarked yet, and the other squad of sisters in this Rhino haven't disembarked either just yet. They will bide their time. So with movement done, we'll head on to shooting. So what we're going to do is start with the exorcists. They've moved up, and they're going to have a pot shot at the battle wagon with their exorcist missile launchers and their hunter killers. Then both of the heavy bolters are going to go into the tank buster squad. So we'll start with the missile launchers into the battle wagon, and I'm going to use a miracle dice we're going to do it all at the same time, because both exorcists are going to hit those targets. Just save a little bit of time and a little bit of thing. So we use miracle dice on one of them, and then it's d6 plus 2. So that's a 4 plus 2, and then the other one is also a 4. So that is 12 shots going in to the battle wagon. So that's 12 shots hitting on 4s. I've seen better. Wounding on 4s. Just 1 wound. Okay. -2 becomes -1 because of ramshackle, so 4 ups. Which it fails, so it is a d6 damage. For 4. Okay. So with the hunter killers being not indirect, they obviously can't fire, so we'll save those for another time. But now the heavy bolters into the tank busters. So hitting on 3s, and they are sustained. So that is those much more go in. So strength 5 versus toughness 5, so 4 to wound. So -1, so a 5 up save, so 6s. No, that is 4 of the tank busters dead. Okay. So we'll move on to the immolator that's down there. We're going to put all the flamers into the commandos, and then we're going to put the heavy bolter into the tank buster. So 2d6 shots with the heavy flamer for 5. strength 6 versus toughness 5, so 3's to wound. Ugh. Okay, so 2 wounds. Make 1, fail 1. Okay, so that's 1 commando gone. And then the heavy bolter into the last remaining tank buster. 2 hits. No, 3 hits. 1 wound. No wounds. No wounds. What am I about? No wounds. Okay, so he lives to survive another day. Okay. Well, whilst we're down that end, we'll have a look at, there's a Retributor squad down there. And again, we may as well split fire a little bit. So we're going to put the melters and the heavy bolter into the looters, and the flamer into the commando squad. We'll start with the flamer into the commandos for 5 shots. 3's to wound. Not bad. So 3 6-up saves. Okay, and 2 more go. So the 2 melters into the looters. Okay. It wounds. And at this range, no save. And he would have taken at this range 4 wounds. Okay, so now the heavy bolter. So that is 2 sustained. Strength 5, toughness 5, so 4's to wound. And 2 wounds, -1 again. And 2 more go. So things left to fire are going to be penitent engines, this immolator, and maybe some pot shots from this squad of sisters. Everything else is pretty much out of range. So the penitent engines are going to go into the mech guns. I'm going to try and take out some of the longer range firepower that the Orks have got. So that is 6 D6 shots from the flamers. Okay. So that's 17 wounds come through, or 17 hits come through, sorry. So 4's to wound now, strength 5, toughness 5. The wonderful thing about penitent engines is they're twin linked, so we get to re-roll the wounds. And that is not bad. So that's 14 wounds but no AP, so 14 5-up saves for the mech guns. Okay, so that's 1 dead and 1 down to half strength. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, so then we'll move on to the immolator, again going into the mech guns. This flank has decided they need to get rid of this long range threat. We can get rid of these mech guns maybe, and then have a go at the mech with a big shock attack gun. So we'll start off with heavy bolter. Hit on 3s. Okay, and that's sustained. So that's sustained, and then we have got so strength 5 versus toughness 5, so 4's to wound. That's 1 wound. Fails to save, so that's 2 wounds left on one of the mech guns. So now the twin multi-melters, both hit. 3's to wound. But it is twin linked, so re-rolling. So that's 2 wounds go through. So they have a 6-up invulnerable save, which they make 1 and fail 1. So at this range, with it being +2, that does kill that second mech gun. And with that, that's pretty much it. We fired the squad of sisters off camera. It did do a wound, but it was saved by the mech gun. So that marks the end of the shooting phase for the sisters, and so we go on to charges. There are going to be 2 charges. There's going to be the penitent engines are going to go into the war bikes, and over here the sacrosancts are going to go into the looter boys. So it's a 6-inch charge and an 8-inch charge respectively. So we'll start with the penitent engines, and they're in, and then we'll move on to the sacrosancts. And they're not in, I will spend a CP, and they are now in. So I'll move them in and come back for the fight phase. So we'll start with the penitent engines going into the war bikes. They get 4 attacks each with twin buzz blades that are twin linked. So you get the same amount of attacks if it's just a single buzz blade, but it's not twin linked. So you get to reroll all the wounds. Okay. So they're hitting on 4s with sustained hits as well. So here we go. So with the single sustain we got, that means everything hit. So 3s to wound and re-rolling. Here's the re-rolls. Okay, so after all that we just dropped the 1. So that is 11 6-up invulnerable saves for the war bikes. Okay, so here we go. Each one of these does 2 damage. So, but the war bikers are 3 wounds. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we've got 5 bikers. 1 knob has 4 wounds, not 3. So that is 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 dead, 4 dead, and the war boss, the knob on biker with 4 wounds. That is exactly the right amount of wounds. That is the squad. So spending my remaining CP on Holy Rage, which gives me +1 to wound. The sacrosancts are going to go into the looters. So we're going to start with the sacrosancts themselves, which are 2 attacks each with their halberds. So they're hitting on 3s. Okay. And now they're wounding on, it would be strength 5 versus toughness 5, so it would be 4s. Now with +1 to wound, it's wounding on 3s. There you go. So it's 1 wound. That goes, it's -2, so we'll go straight through and kills one of the looters. So now the sister with her Spear of the Faithful. That's better. Again, strength 5 versus toughness 5, but +1 to wound, so 3s. That's 3 wounds go through and kills 3 more looters. So at the end of the sister's turn, there's quite a bit of work done. The flank, the right hand flank for Mad Dog is nearly collapsed. There's some Squig Hog boys, a big mech with shock attack and a mech gun. There's not too much left. And down the other flank, there's been some whittling away. I pulled the looters themselves out and left the spanner out of combat, so he couldn't fight back, but hopefully gets to just shoot them in the face in the next turn. But there is, the units are whittled down, but still very much a threat. So let's see what Mad Dog does and what his orders are for Orks turn 2. So at the end of the movement phase for the Orks, war has been declared. There's been a lot of movement. This tank buster has come up, so we'll do that, his ability in a minute, which I think is, if I recall correctly, if he finishes his move within range of a tank, they can do some mortal wounds, so we'll just double check that. And then the commandos have moved up to take on the retributors. This squad of Orks has jumped out the truck and are going to have a go at the sacrosancts. Fingers crossed, next turn they can jump back in the truck and the truck can drive off. Let's see what happens. The Storm Boys got a good advance, as did the custom booster blaster, and got themselves right up into the sisters' lines. The battle wagon with Mad Dog McSweeney on it and his squad of knobs, and the other squad of boys, got themselves into the middle of the board, looking to charge into that squad of sisters around that first objective. And then round here, the Squighog boys actually moved forward to get themselves into an unfailable charge, and then the big mech with the shock attack gun moved over towards the mech to keep himself in coherency with his own squad, looking to take aim at that immolator. As we're up here, we'll use the squig bomb into this squad of penitent engines, and it'll do D3 wounds, and that kills the penitent engine that's on 2 wounds. So a good start. Yep, with the bomb squig ability in the tank busters as well, they also get to do a D3. So it's got 3 wounds to get through on the immolator. Let's see if the tank buster the bomb squig can take it out. And it does. Okay, so does the tank explode? No, it doesn't. Okay, so with that I get a miracle dice because the unit's been destroyed. That's a 5, so it goes in my pool of 2 1s. Okay, so we're going to start with this spanner into the sacrosancts. He's not moved. There's a couple of units that haven't moved or have just made normal moves, so they're eligible to shoot. Everything else is pretty much advanced. He's hitting on 5s. Okay, so 2 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 3, so 3's to wound. So there's 2 wounds go through, and no minus. And they're both fine, so those 2 wounds are fine. So we'll go on to the next squad of boys shooting their sluggers. So after the smoke cleared, all the sluggers and the big shooters and everything else that came through, there's a couple of wounds done, but the sisters saved them, so it'll have to be mortal combat in that respect. So we'll head round to the looters, taking shots at the retributors. So we'll start with the death gun. Okay, he stayed still, so it's hitting on 5s, and it's rapid fire 1. So 2 hits. Strength 8 versus toughness 3, so 2's to wound. There's 2 wounds go through. They are next to a barricade, so the -1 becomes -0. So it does kill 1 though. The big shooter, hitting on 5s. Again, 2 hits. 3's to wound. So there's 2 wounds and 2 3-up saves. And 2 more falls, so that is 3 from the squad. Okay. So the rivet cannon from the custom booster blaster is an assault weapon, so we're going to fire that into that squad of sisters that are defending that first objective, that first shrine around St. Celestine. So hitting on 5s. Okay. Wounding on 3s. No wounds. And they're fine because they're behind the barricade. Okay. Come round to this side of the battle grid with the Squighog boys going into the penitent engines, and they're going to use their stickers, which are anti-vehicle and anti-monster as it happens. So they're hitting on 5s. So 2 hits, brilliant. So 4's to wound. Okay, and they're both wound. So 2 5-up saves for the penitent engines, and makes them both. Okay, they make them both. Okay. So 2 wounds came in from the saddlegate weapons. I didn't think they would, but they did. And they both wound. So there's 2 5-up feel no pains. So 1 wound goes through. Okay. So just mark that up on the middle one. And then we're going to move round to the mech gun and the big mech with this shock attack gun. So We'll see what kind of bubble we get from the mech gun. Okay, a middle of the road one. So it's D6 shots for 4. You know, you're going to go into the immolator because they're going to try and deal with this immediate threat that's in front of them, being this immolator here. So, because they know there's retributors inside, and if we can pop that open, and the Squighog boys can deal with the penitent engines, then they've got retributors to move into. So, okay, hit on 4s. That's not bad shooting from Grots. Now's the tough part because it's strength 9 versus toughness 10. So 5s to wound. OMG. So that's -2. So 5 up saves needed. And we make 1 but fail 2. So that is 4 damage. Sorry, that is 6 damage goes through on the immolator. So now we do the big mech with the shock attack gun, which is D6 plus 1 shots. For 4. It's hitting on 5s. Hits once. Wounding on 5s. Wounds. That is -4. So 6 up invulnerable save. Doesn't make. And that is D6 damage. So a 5. The simulator blows up. Ooh, so close. So that pretty much marks the end of the shooting phase. Everything that can shoot has. There's as you can see now down here, the similar to the Mad Dog's flank, the Sisters' flank is starting to collapse here with these Orks hopefully able to push forward and start putting some hurt into the squads here. So all that we'll do now is charges, and there's going to be a lot of charges across the board here. This is where Orks are going to excel. So it's literally going to be charges into the Retributors, charges into these squads of Sisters by the Storm Boys, by the Battle Wagon. We're going to charge this squad of boys into the Sisters, and we're going to charge the Squighog boys into the Penitent Engines. So we'll do some rolling and we'll come back. So we're going to start with the Battle Wagon. Mad Dog McSweeney's roaring. Shut them down, run them over, get rid of them. And so we'll start with the Death Roller that's on the front, which is 6 attacks, and it hits on 3s. Not bad. Wounds on 2s. And that is... missing a dice there. Hits. Wounds. So that is 6 4-up saves. Or death. And it kills 4. Good start. So we took the 4 Sisters away, but then the Storm Boys piled in, and they're going to put all their attacks into that Battle Sisters squad. So that's 3 attacks each, that's 15 attacks hitting on 3s. And I think, from recollection, you get critical hits. And because we've called the Waaaaagh, we get an extra attack each. So we'll put more for those as well. So that gets me another sustained. So we've got those 4 sustained, putting those back in, and all of those have hit as well. So quite the number. Strength 4, toughness 3, so 3s to wound. So that's 12 at -1, so 12 4-up saves. And that isn't bad. Okay, coming around the battle grid, we're going to activate this squad of Ork boys into the 4 remaining Sacrosancts and see what they can do. That's 4 attacks each on 8 of them. One's just got a close combat weapon and one has got a a big chopper, which is slightly different. So we'll start off with the normal boys. Hang on. There we go, that's better. Right, so hitting on 3s, 6s, explode. So strength 4, toughness 3, so 3s to wound. So that's 15 wounds come through, so looking for 4s. So that kills 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, just enough. They had the big chopper to come from the knob, but that's enough. So we'll come all the way down to the far flank of the battle grid with the commandos going into the Retributor squad with their lone buddy from the Tank Buster squad. And we're going to start with a Power Claw. So he gets an extra attack and he hits on 4s. So it hits once. Becomes strength 10 against toughness 3 because of the extra strength characteristic because of the war. So 2s to wound, and it wounds. That's -2, so we're on to 5-up save, which they don't make, so that absolutely smushes one of the sisters. So we'll go on to the Breaching Ram, which also hits on 4. So 1 hit. Definitely wounds. Again, a 5-up save. And another one gets absolutely annihilated. And so now what's left is the choppers. Also the close combat weapons of the commandos. So hitting on 3s, sustained hits as well. Wounding on 3s. So that's 8 3-up saves. We've already lost 2 in that squad. So let's see what we can do. That's not really lose 1 more. But with the others that have already been lost in that squad, the commandos completely clear this flank. And so, in direct mirror really of the Orks, this whole flank of the sisters' defences has collapsed. So the last thing to fight before we do the fight backs with the sisters is the squad of Squighog boys into the penitent engines. So the Squighog boys on the Waaaaagh get 4 attacks each, and it's anti-vehicle 4+. So let's do it again. Hitting on 3s. No explodes this time though. So 4s to wound. Only 2 wounds. So 2 5-up saves. And they're both made. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So let's see what the penitent engines can do on the fight back. So they get 4 attacks each on the fight back, hitting on 4s. They're winning on 3s with twin linked. We're actually going to spend a CP, I think. Let's see if I can do that. Hang on. I should have done it at the start of the fight phase, but sue me. The penitent engine will now hit. We're going to do Arda's nails. So -1 to wound. So now they're winning on 4s rather than 3s. And there we go. It certainly made a difference. There's no wounds come through for the penitent engine. So these are locked up in combat. And with that, we'll fight back with those brave sisters into the Storm Boys. So during the fight back, we did it off camera. They did manage to hit, cause a wound, actually cause 2 wounds, which one of the Orks failed. So they do manage to bring a Storm Boy down, but that marks the end of the Orks turn 2. So yeah, there's a lot gone on. Already the sisters are up against it. So what can they do? What will they do in order to try and defend and see if they can retrieve the Ebon Blade. So we look at Sisters, turn 2. So at the end of the Sisters movement phase, there's been quite a lot of stuff gone on. The Retributors have disembarked from the Immolator. This squad of Sisters has moved up. This squad of Sisters, the Sacrosancts of the Canis, have stayed still. These have stayed in combat. These Sacrosancts have moved up, and this squad of Sisters disembarked with the Dogmata from the Rhino, which is then retreated back to hold this objective at the back here. Then the Repentia have disembarked from their Rhino and have got eyes on the Commandos and anything else that gets in their way. And then the Exorcists have just shuffled round to get line of sight onto the battle wagon. So with everything moved and now disembarked, I'm going to head on to the shooting phase. And I think it's fair to say the main focus of the Sisters' fire is everything that can is going to go into that battle wagon. They need to get to what's inside. They want to get Mad Dog McSweeney out and bring the pain. So we'll go on to the Sisters shooting phase. I need to roll for a couple of miracle dice. I need to roll for the Retribution squad, which I get a 5. I need to roll for the Sacrosanct squad. I get a 3. And now, start of my turn, I get a 3. Okay. So quite the pool stacking up at the moment. So with that, we'll head on to the shooting. We're going to start with the Exorcist, one of the Exorcists anyway. This time I won't do everything with, it is all going to go into the battle wagon, but I want to just see one at a time now. So I'm going to start with the Exorcist missile launcher, and I am going to use a miracle dice for the first one. I'm going to burn one of the 5s. So it's 5 plus 2, so that's 7 hits, 7 shots coming in. So, hitting on 3s, because it can see it. Everything hits. Okay. Strength 10, toughness 10, so 4 to wound. That isn't bad. So it's 5. It would be -2, but because of ramshackle, it is -1. So 5 at -1. Okay. So it's got 12 wounds remaining. So it's 2d6 damage. So it has 9 wounds remaining apparently. So we'll then fire the Hunter Killer missile, which hits on a 2. So Hunter Killer, which hits, 3s to wound, which doesn't wound. Okay, just bounces off the hard case. Well, not the hard case because it's not got that fitted, but it just bounces off the ramshackle armour of the battle wagon and explodes somewhere else. And the heavy bolters are going to go into the 2 looter boys that are left. So hit on 3s. Nothing sustained there. Strength 5, toughness 5, so 4s to wound, and no wounds. Their tough hide stands them well. So now we'll rinse and repeat exactly the same thing with the other Exorcist. So the Exorcist missile launcher, d6 plus 2 shots for 6. I am hitting on 3s. Wounding on 4s. That isn't bad at all. So a further 4 up saves for the battle wagon. And 2 more go through. It's got 9 wounds remaining. Can this do it? Oh, it can with an 11. Fantastic. Does the battle wagon explode? No. Oh, So for Mad Dog squad, the 10 knobs and Mad Dog, let's see what happens there. One gets tickled on the way out, okay. And then for the squad of Orc boys that are also in there, oh dear, we lose 3 on the way out. So again, the heavy bolters go into the looters. And 1 hit. Doesn't wound again. Those looters are truly blessed by Gork and Mork. Right, so with that then, we'll move round and we'll take a look at what the immolator is going to fire. I think we're going to put the immolator, so it has a special ability which when it targets a unit, so if we target this squad of Orc boys, knobs, sorry, then any unit that gets out of it that also targets the same unit gets +1 to, they can re-roll the wound. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to fire everything from this immolator into the knobs. So we're going to start with the heavy bolter, hitting on 3s. It's 2 hits. Strength 5, toughness 5, so 4s to wound. So that's 2 wounds, -1. Okay, both go through. So 2 damage each, that kills 2 of the knobs. So then we'll go on to the multi-melters. So again, hitting on 3s. Both hits. Wounding on 3s. So it's twin linked. So 2 wounds go through. No save on that one. So, oh no, they got Fab Up Invulnerable save because they're still on their Waaaaagh. 1 goes through. So for D6 damage, that kills another one. So that's 3 down so far. So we'll start with the 2 heavy flamers that are in that squad for 6 shots. For 6 auto hitting. So strength 6, versus toughness 5, so 3s to wound, but re-rolling. Re-roll at 1. Okay, so that's 5 wounds come through at -1. So 6 up invulnerable save. And that kills 2 more, so there's 5 gone out of that knob squad so far. And the 2 melters, 2 multi-melters. So 2 multi-melters, hitting on 4s. Okay, so 1 hit. 3s to wound becomes 2s to wound. So 3s to wound, but re-rolling. Don't need to. So 6 up invulnerable save. No, another D6 damage, but +2 at this range, so that kills another one. So that's 6 gone out of the knob squad so far. We're whittling it down to try and expose Mad Dog McSweeney from behind his bodyguard. So after spending a CP on hard as nails, everything from this Sisters squad, including the Melter and the Flamer, and everything from the Sacrosanct squad fired into the knobs and only did one tickled 1 wound. Certainly made a big difference there. So we'll see what happens with glorious combat, I suppose. So moving around, the Penitent Engines are going to fire into combat with their flamers. So 2d6 shots. So strength 5 versus toughness 7, so 5s to wound, but they're twin links, so they're re-rolling. Good job as well, really. So after the re-rolls, 8 wounds came through, so 8 4-up saves. And 1 gets tickled a couple of times, so that leaves 1 on 1 wound remaining. But with nothing left to shoot now, really, we're now looking at charges, and we're going to be charging the Repentia into the Commandos, we're going to charge the Sacrosancts into the Storm Boys. These Sacrosancts and the Canoness are going to go into the War Boss. And these sisters here are going to hold firm. I want to, let's see if the Sacrosancts can take on the War Boss along with the Canoness. So, and then what we'll do with the Immolator, it served its purpose. We're gonna go for a relatively long bomb charge into the mech gun and see what we can do there, just to try and tie it up a bit. So we'll roll for the charges and see what distance we get, because some of these are pretty close and so are auto ins. Let's see what we get. So we'll roll for the Canoness and her squad into the War Boss. And she's in with a 7. The Repentia, they're in with a 5. The Sacrosancts into the Storm Boys, they're in with a 7. And then the Immolator into the Mech Gun. I haven't quite measured it, I'll do it in a minute. But a 9, I think she's in. So we're going to start with the Repentia down here and into the Commandos. We need to get rid of them. So with the Repentia Superior in the squad, we get to re-roll the hit roll and re-roll the wound roll. So we're hitting on 4s. And nothing explodes or anything, but we're hitting on 4s. So off we go. It's a good job we can re-roll the hit roll and wound roll. So after the re-rolls, it's strength 6 versus toughness 5, so 3s to wound. And the re-rolls, so a couple more dropped. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 wounds onto the 6 up invulnerable save for the Orks. So here we go. Oh dear. So 9 wounds came through, 2 damage each. So that's the squad. So well done, Repentia. So before we get to the fight in the middle of the battle grid, there, we resolved some things over here. I know it's slightly out of phase, but we did do tank shock with the Immolator, and then tank shock did 3 mortal wounds. And then nothing else came in from the actual attacks itself. So we'll come back to that, probably do that off camera, whilst we then go to the centre of the battle grid and see exactly what the Sacrosancts can do and see if they can whittle away some more of these knobs. So in here we have a Canoness that allows the Sacrosancts to re-roll the hit roll. The knobs are led by a War Boss, so they get -1 to wound. So it'd be strength 5 versus toughness 5, wounding on 4s, becomes 5s. So I've spent a CP on Holy Rage to add 1 to the wound roll for the sisters. So we start off with the Sacrosancts themselves, and that's 8 attacks, hitting on 3s. Only 1 to re-roll, so we'll re-roll that. Okay. Strength 5, toughness 5, -1 to wound, +1 to wound, we're back to 4. Oh dear. So 3 wounds come through, so that's 3 6-up saves, each one killing a knob. Ooh, only 1 falls. Okay. So we move on to the Superior. So the one that was on 1 wound is the one that perished, so there's only 1 damage for the halberd. So now the Sister Superior hitting on 3s. And re-rolling. So all 3 hit. Again, strength 5, all the wounding stuff, so back down to wounding on 4s. And that is 3 wounds come through. So 3 6-up saves, and it is 2 damage on this one, so you need to pass them all the knobs will be gone. And all the knobs are gone. So that just leaves Mad Dog McSweeney as the Canoness raises her power sword, the Blessed Blade, and looks to strike down Mad Dog. Let's see what happens. So she has 4 attacks because she's got the Blade of St. Eleanor, which gives her an extra attack. and it gives her extra strength as well. So she becomes, with the Blessed Blade, she becomes strength 7. So we're wounding on 3s. So hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so they all hit. Wounding on 3s. And they all wound. Okay. So Mad Dog has a super cyborg body. So it's a 5 up invulnerable save and a 4 up feel no pain. So let's see how we get on. Okay, so he passes 2. Fails 2. He won't be dead, that's for certain. So that's 4 wounds come through with a 4 up feel no pain. And he only takes 2 wounds. He has 4 wounds remaining. And with that, he roars. He's furious at the fact that these stupid Umis are in his way. And he raises his axe and strikes out at the Sacrosancts and the Canoness. So because Mad Dog's under the effect of his own Waaaaagh, okay, he's going to pile in a little bit and go into there. Okay, so now he gets 4 extra attacks on the charge with his big chopper. So he's hitting on 2s, strength 8, he's wounding on 2s. Now the Sacrosancts, if they're led by a Canoness, actually -1 to the wound, so it becomes wounding on 3s. Let me see if there's a strat that pulls that extra wound in, hang on. There's nothing in there to add 1 to the wound, so we could spend a CP to get critical hits on 5s, maybe. So they also wound as they go through, which probably wouldn't hurt actually. So anyway, hitting on 2s, 5s critical hits. Maybe that was worth spending the CP then. So 2s to wound. Okay. So that is 7 come through. We'll have to do them 1 at a time because the Canoness has got a slightly different save, I think. No, she's just got 4 wounds. Right, so we'll do them 1 at a time anyway. So there's 7 gone through. There's 6 in that squad, including the Canoness. So the first one is 4s to save. First one is okay. Second one is dead. Dead. Is fine. Is dead. Is fine. Last one is dead. So that kills 4 of the Sacrosancts straight outright as he screams his rage into the Yumi's face. And that pretty much, there's some Sacrosancts over there into the Storm Boys. We'll do that off camera. And then that would mark the end of the Sisters' turn. So we'll come back shortly. So actually, we want to sort of get this on camera. This squad here, the Sacrosancts, is led by a Palatine, and they have a pretty good, interesting rule ability when they're leading a unit. So whilst they lead a unit, weapons equipped have the lethal hits ability. So anything hitting on 6s just goes straight through. And then they also have an ability, if I discard a miracle dice, then any wounds, there's a mortal wound suffered in addition. So if I discard one of my wands, boop, it's gone. Then suddenly, not only do I get lethal hits, but I also get mortal wounds if I manage to wound the Orks as well. So which could be significant against this Storm Boy squad, just to try and get rid of them. It's a bit simpler. So let's have a look. So hitting on 3s and 6s are lethal. Okay, so that's 1 wound plus a mortal wound. Okay, so now 4s to wound. So that's 2 more wounds. So that is 3 wounds to save and 3 mortals in addition. Let's see how we get on. Okay, now that By failing those two, that would be the Storm Boy squad. So moving around to this ongoing combat, the Squighog boys strike back into the penitent engines. Not bad, not bad at all. If I can get that again, that'd be awesome. Don't do too badly, but so that's 4 wounds come through. And that is 3 of them that have failed. So that's 2 damage each. So that's the first one, dead. And the second one is left alive on 1 wound. After the attacks with the Squighog jaws and Saddlegits came through, 2 more wounds came through. And it fails them both. So again, feel no pains. It's down to 1 wound remaining, and that gets him. So that's the penitent engine. Does it blow up? No. Did the other one blow up? No. So that's significant because it's cleared that space. It's cleared that space for the for the Squighog boys to now start making some moves and maybe taking on some of the Retributors into the centre field here. So significantly, the Sisters have cleared and held some parts of the battle grid. Over in the corner here, they cleared the commandos out, and that 1 main attack buster needs to fight back. We'll do that in a second. They've managed to clear some stuff here as well with the Storm boys, and they've tickled Mad Dog, but he's still there, and we've got a whole truck of boys ready to disembark. Got another squad of boys, another squad of boys, another squad of boys, and significantly, because of the objective control, the Sisters have lost control of the first objective in the centre of the cathedral. So will they have to either fight for tooth and nail for it and hold on to it, knowing that the chances are they've got the one at the rear here and the one in the entranceway, or do they look to fall back and secure these other 2 and make it hard for the Orks? We'll have to see what happens after Orks turn 3, because I get the feeling that they're about to bring the pain. So we'll move over to Orks, turn 3. So at the end of Orks turn 3, end of Orks movement phase for turn 3, sorry, we rolled a miracle dice for the Sisters and got a 5, and obviously both gained a CP. Now the Squighog boys move themselves round, ready for a charge, we think, onto the Retributor squad. The Mech Gun and Mech Boy, the Big Mech, sorry, they fell back out of combat. So the Squighog boys are going to take a cheeky drive-by onto the Immolator and see if they can get rid of it. The Custom Booster Blaster broke down the barricade and drove into the lines of the Sisters, and then the Weird Boy and his squad disembarked from the truck. The truck has stayed still whilst the boys have moved forward. Then round on this side, the Spanner got into the truck and the truck drove forward to get him up the lines a little bit whilst this squad of boys moved forward towards the Repentia. The Tank Buster did kill one. We did that combat off camera. He did kill one and then moved out of combat, giving this squad of Repentia to become a viable target for all the sluggers and the looter boys in order to try and whittle them down, ready for a charge. So a fair amount of movement still from the Orks. Can the Sisters really weather the storm, because the green tide is really looking to press the lines now as we go on to the Orc shooting phase. So we may as well start with the Weird Boy, and he's going to use his Headbanger ability, a psychic attack into that squad of Sisters at the back there. So it's 1 shot, hitting on 4s. Let's see how we do. Hey! Now, for every 5 boys in the unit, you add 1 to the strength and 1 to the damage. So it's currently strength 6, so it's wounding on 2s anyway. But it's going to become strength 8. Okay. So, definitely wounds. It's -3. So the sisters in that squad will get a 6-up save, which they fail. So one sister, her head just catastrophically explodes. Excellent. We'll start with the big shooter, hitting on 5s. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. That's 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up saves for the sisters. And another one is killed. So that's 2 so far that have gone from that squad. So 9 sluggers hitting on 5s. Okay. Wounding on 3s. That's not bad. So a further 4 3-up saves. And 2 more are slain. Up to 4 gone from that squad so far. Okay. Rinse and repeat with this small squad of Orc boys there into that squad of sisters in front of them. There's only 7 sluggers left in that one. They're hitting on 5s. Okay. And wounding on 3s. So 2 wounds go through and they're both fine. That's fine. And then we'll repeat that again with that squad of boys there into the sacrosancts behind the statue. So we shot with that squad in the middle, we shot with that squad, and we shot with that squad just there. They managed to kill a Repentia, and they managed to kill a Sacrosanct with that in that squad. Other than that, it was what I would say is the usual orc shooting. Lots of noise, but not necessarily in any direction. We're going to then come round to the Squighog boys here then and see if we can take out that last wound on the immolator. So they get, it's 1 shot with the sticker. So as it's driving by, see if we can get something hitting on 5s. 2 hits, brilliant. So it's anti-vehicle 4+. Let's see what we can do. No, nothing then. Is it worth the CP? Yeah, why not? No, waited too long, waited too long. Okay, and then the Saddlegate weapons, they go by. 2 hits, 6s to wound. There's a wound come through. A wound has come through. So it is a 3-up or explode situation. And there we go. It was the Saddlegate as it drove by. It just threw, shot in exactly the right place. A bit like Luke Skywalker hitting the right place at the right time. But does it explode? No, the immolator just implodes internally, and that's the end of that. Excellent, good shooting, boys. We're getting a miracle dice for losing a unit, which is another 1. So we've got a bit of a pool now. We've got a couple of 5s, a couple of 3s, a couple of 1s. So I have to start bringing them into play in this latter part of the game. Then we'll move on to the custom booster blaster, putting everything into those sisters that are inside the entranceway to the cathedral. So we'll get some dice gathered and hopefully get rid of them. So 2d6 shots with the burner exhausts. It's not bad for 9. The 9 auto hitting twin link weapons, burner exhaust, wounding on 3s. And re-rolling. And they all wound. That's 9 3-up save. So 9 3-up saves on the sisters in the cathedral entranceway. And we lose 4. So 9 shots coming from the rivet cannon. Oh, that is not bad shooting at all. 3s to wound. Okay, so 3 more wounds. They are in cover. And we lose another one. Okay, so there's another one gone from that sister squad. Then we have the Grot on top, who hits. 4s to wound, doesn't wound. Okay, so we lose another sister from that squad, and that's pretty much all the shooting done, so we'll look to some charges. 1 minute, we forgot the looters. There's 1 looter left with this spanner, so with the death gun, they stood still, so hitting on 5s. Nothing. Now, the spanner, again hitting on 5s. Okay, 2 come through, 3s to wound, and nothing. Okay, so as you were. So with that, we'll look at charges, and there's a fair few to do, I think. The Squig Hog boys are going to come round and charge into the Retributor squad. This squad of boys are going to charge this squad of sisters, these 4 that are here, and the Retributor squad. This squad of boys are actually going to charge into the Canoness and this last remaining Sacrosanct. And this squad of boys are going to charge into the Sacrosancts that are here. And round this flank, this squad of boys are going to charge into the Repentia. So we'll do some measuring and then we'll do some rolling. So we'll start with the Squig Hog boys, who are in with a 10. Then the squad of boys into the sisters and the Retributors, they're in with a 5. The squad of Orks into the Canoness and the Sacrosanct, they're also in with a 5. The squad of boys into the Sacrosancts in the centre there, they're definitely hungry. They're hungry for ham. They want in. And the squad of Orks into the squad of boys into the Repentia, and they are in with an 8 as well. Whereas his charges across the board, the sisters really, really will have their work cut out. That relic that they're looking to secure really is in danger. The best thing we might do is actually we might charge the custom booster blaster into those sisters in the cathedral entrance. I mean, it seems the orky thing to do. Let's have a look. And with a 10, yeah, I'd say so. So we'll start with the Squig Hog boys going into the Retributors, and that is they get lance, so it's going to be 2s to wound. So we're hitting on 3s. Seen better, but probably going to be enough on its own, to be fair. 2s to wound. Okay, so that is 4 wounds have come through. -1, so 4 4-up saves. Okay, so 2 sisters from the Retributors fall. So then we go on to the Saddlegits. So again, there's 3 of them left still. So that is 3 attacks each, so 9 attacks hitting on 4s this time. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Strength 6, so 3s, so 2s to wound. So 4 wounds go through, again -1. And only 1 more falls. Okay, so it's 3 out of the Retributor squad gone with the Squig Hog boys. So then we'll move on to, we have to split the attacks here. It's getting really congested. We could do with clearing some space. And the sister Canoness, by the way, has activated her once per battle 2-up invulnerable save. I think it's for good reason. So we'll move on to this squad with the Weird Boys squad going into the sisters and the Retributors. So we've got 2 attacks, two of the boys going into the Retributor squad. hitting on 3s. Not bad. Winning on 3s. So 2 wounds at -1. And they're both fine. So the knob is in that section as well. So he'll get 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. All 3 hit. Wounding on 2s. All 3 wound. -1, 2 damage. So can he finish off the Retributor squad on his own? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. That's the Retributor squad gone. And then we'll do the rest into the other sister squad. So here's all the choppers going into the sister squad with the Imagifier with her. I've just remembered sustained hits being a thing, so apologies on that. But so quite a number of sustained hits going back into that sister squad. I don't think they're going to be very long defending this cathedral. So 3s to wound. So 15 wounds go through at -1, 1 damage. So let's see what happens. The Imagifier doesn't have anything, I don't recall, that would be different, so we can all roll at the same time. Okay. So there's 3 sisters and an Imagifier left in that squad. So that's 1 sister, 2 sisters, 3 sisters. Then Imagifier has 3 wounds, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So just enough, just like your mother said, as they'd say on some other channel somewhere. But yeah, so that is the squad. And so we'll move on to the next one, going into the Sacrosancts over by the statue. Okay, so moving on to this squad that is fighting the Sacrosancts down here. There are 8 boys with choppers in there, hitting on 3s. So after the sustained hits, there's quite a few, only lost a couple. So now with the Palatine leading the Sacrosancts, it's -1 to wound. So it would be 3s, but now it's back to 4s. So 8 wounds came through, so that's 8 at -1. Not bad, only lose a couple. Only lose a couple from that squad so far. Then we'll go for the knob. Hits twice. Wounding on 3s now. 2 wounds. And 2 saves. And then the close combat weapon with the guy with the shooter hits, doesn't wound. Okay, so lost a couple of Sacrosancts there, and then we'll go around and fight with the Orc boys against the Repentia. So this is the attacks going into the Repentia. Just loads. Okay. 3s to wound. Okay. So that's 17, 5 up, feel no pains for the sisters. Here we go. That's them dead. Don't have anything that makes them fight on death. So that's the Repentia squad gone. So now we come to the combat in the centre here. The custom booster blaster managed to kill an extra sister over there in combat. Now we come over to the one in the centre here. So we've got a Sacrosant left and a Canoness. The Canoness has activated her 2-up save, her 2-up invulnerable save. So this is all the attacks from the choppers from the boys. Okay, so 3s to wound. So 10 wounds have come through, so I have to do them one at a time because of the Sacrosant and the Canoness having a different save. So She's fine. She's fine. She's fine. She's dead. And now everything can go on to the 2-up save of the Canoness, of which she takes a single wound. So the big chopper comes in from the knob, hits, and wounds. And again, 3 2-up saves. She takes another one, that's 2 wounds gone. She's fine. 3 wounds gone. How many wounds has she got? She has 4 wounds. I am going to spend a CP to reroll that. It's fine. So she's only taken 2 wounds. So she's got 2 wounds remaining. I'll just pop a dice over there so I know what it is. Now she gets to strike back. And everything is going to go into Mad Dog. So she gets 4 attacks. And she's hitting on 2s. Strength 7, toughness 5, so wounding on 3s. That is 2 wounds come through for Mad Dog on his 5-up invulnerable save. He makes one, he fails one, it's 2 damage, has a 4-up feel no pain. And he feels a little bit of pain, so he's down to 3 wounds remaining and she's down to 2 wounds remaining, at which point Mad Dog strikes back. So 5 attacks hitting on 2s. Nothing sustained on this one. Wounded on 2s. So 4 wounds go through. So can she do 4 more 2-up invulnerable saves? She can. So those 2 are still locked in combat. And there she is, completely surrounded, cut off from the rest of her sisters and surrounded by Mad Dog's war. So we'll do some striking back with the Sacrosancts over there, but that'll then mark the end of the Orcs turn 3. So we'll get that done and we'll go from there. So spending another miracle dice to give the mortal wound output. So hitting on 3s. That's 1 lethal hit, because she gives the squad the lethal hits ability. And wounds as well. So that's 2 mortal wounds and 2 saves to do. Of which one goes, so they kill 3 orcs with the mortal wounds and that 1 wound that's failed. Then the superior strikes and misses twice, but does wound, so causes another mortal wound that kills another boy, and kills another boy. So that's 5 out of that squad gone so far. Then the Palatine herself strikes. So Palatine hits on 2s. That one's a lethal hit because she's part of the squad now, I think. What I'll do is I'm going to spend a miracle dice for a wound, and then roll the other one. So that fails. So that is 2 mortal wounds and 2 saves to make. Then make 1 and fail 1. So far that is 8 boys out of that 10 who have been cut down by the Sacrosancts and the Palatine due to the mortal wounds and the failed saves. Pretty brutal stuff. So across the lines, it was a devastating blow the Orcs dealt to the sisters. There was some fight back with the Sacrosancts and the sister squad here, but the Canoness remains completely isolated. in amongst all the Orc boys. The pressure on the sisters' lines is really telling. So what will the sisters do in their turn 3 to try and stem the tide? So at the end of the sisters' movement phase, it didn't take too long. We fell back out of combat with the Sacrosancts, and this squad of sisters moved back from the barricade. We fell out of combat with the squad of sisters inside there. This Rhino came forward to lend its objective control to that objective there, and these two Exorcists moved back to try and protect this one. The Canoness has stayed in combat. Now, I did look at trying to get her through this little channel here, but I don't think I can. So that's why I've left her there. But at the end, the assets are thin on the ground now for the sisters. There's a whole lot of stuff that is being killed. But what we're going to do, we're going to throw some grenades at the custom booster blaster. So the CP we got, I rolled a 2 for my miracle dice at the start of this turn. Let's see if we can at least inflict some mortal wounds on that custom booster blaster. And we can at least inflict 4, which is pretty good. So we'll start with that squad firing into the booster blaster, because you never know. It's Boltigans. Okay. Strength 4, toughness 7, so 5s to wound. Just another wound comes through. And it has a 4-up save. Which it saves, as it should do. As it should do. Okay, we'll then go on to the Exorcists. So Exorcists are going to split their fire. They're going to put, again, we're going to roll these all together. They're going to put their heavy bolters into this squad of boys here. And then we're going to do the missiles into this squad of boys with the weird boy. Because everything else is either in combat. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So we'll start with the heavy bolters. They can be seen. And we get a sustained hit. Okay. 4s to wound. Not bad. That is 5 wounds. And we save 2 of them, so 3 Orks perish under the holy fire from the Exorcist missile launcher. So then it'll be this going into there. We're going to use a miracle dice, so that's 5 plus 2. And we'll roll for the other one, which is a 4. So that is 6 going in. Okay. So hitting on 3s, but actually 4s because of indirect fire. And strength 10 versus toughness 5, so 2s to wound. And that is -2. Becomes -1 because of cover, but a whole lot perish. And so 7 Orks die screaming, and the pain boy, the weird boy, chuckles, as does the knob, as he watches them run around with their, what would be their hair on fire. Now, there's little point doing any charges right now. What we'll do is just go straight on to the ongoing combat and straight on to Mad Dog himself, because he's told his the squad of boys that have come to his aid, leave it to me. So 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, and sustained hits. Wounding on 2s. That's a lot of wounds. She has 2 wounds left. So, can she save herself? 4 up invulnerable save. And that, and that. The Canoness perishes. Or does she? Spending 3 miracle dice, we set the Canoness back up on the battlefield, outside of engagement range, as close as possible to where she fell. But with the light of the Emperor and the divine intervention that is the order of the burning shield, she will not fall. And with that, we'll go on to Orks, turn 4. So here we are at the end of the Orks movement phase. Mad Dog McSweeney growled at the boys around him and told them to deal with the other Umis in front of them whilst he deals with this Canoness. At the end of the movement phase, this squad of sisters did use Overwatch and managed to kill one of the Orks, but it feels a little bit too late. The Squighog boys have come round. The Weird Boys squad has moved up, as has that squad of boys. This truck has moved on to the objective to hold it. And then round this side, this squad of boys has moved forward along with the tank buster. And the other 2 looters moved towards the truck to nab a lift, and the truck advanced round to this side here in an effort to just start to put pressure on the lines. Probably out of the game right now in terms of what objectives they can get onto for turn 5, but certainly is something to deal with, because it won't take much to maybe come through and then charge. So we'll see. But with that, there's only a couple of things I want to shoot. I want to shoot the big mech and the mech gun, and I might shoot the custom booster blaster. Everything else is just going to wait for combat. We want something to charge to get ourselves into the lines, because we've got this objective to hold, and this objective here. So let's all that being done, we'll go on to the Orks shooting phase. So we're going to fire the big mech with his shock attack gun into those sacrosancts. So it's D6 plus 1 shots for 4 shots. The big mech stood still, so it's hitting on 4s. 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. And 1 wound. We'll go on to the Sacrosanct's 4 up invulnerable save, so let's see what we can do. No. Okay, so that kills a sister, because it's D6 damage. Well, it is. They only got 1 wound, so it kills a sister. So let's see what kind of shot we get from the mech gun into the same squad. Ooh. Okay. That's a dense bubble for D3 shots for the big 3. Hitting on 4s. That's 2 hits. Wounding on 2s. That's 2 wounds at -2. So again, the 4 up invulnerable save. It's both the Palatine that's in that squad and the Sacrosanct Superior both have a 4 up invuln, so I can do it at the same time. Okay, so the Palatine passes, the sister, the Sacrosanct, does not. So then we'll go on to the custom booster blaster, going into the squad that's in the ruins. So 2d6 shots with the burner exhausts for 8. Strength 4, toughness 3, so 3's to wound. So that's 6 3-up saves. See how we get on. Not bad, we only lose 1 sister so far. And then the rivet cannon hits 3 times. 2s to wound, wounds 3 times, and -1, so 4 up saves. Oh, we make them all. So we only lost 1 sister from that squad with all the shooting. So with that, we'll remove that sister and then we will move on to charges. The most exciting phase. So charges are made across the board. The squad of 2 boys went into the Palatine. Everyone else went into the squad of sisters here. In the backfield, the squad of boys and the single lone tank buster went into the Rhino. And then in the centre of the battlefield, Mad Dog screams in the Canoness's face and goes charging in. We will come back to that one. We'll start off with this squad of boys going into this squad of sisters. So 15 attacks, hitting on 3s and sustained hits. Wounding on 3s. So -1 with 4 up saves for the sisters. And that is 2, 4 have perished. So 9 attacks coming from the Squig Hog boys into the remaining image of fire. So hitting on 3s. With all those sustained hits, it's wounding on 3s. And here. So -1, 2 damage, so 4 up saves for the image of fire. And she takes 6 wounds, so she's definitely dead. Okay. So the last 2 boys going into the Palatine, the white dice are the big chopper from the knob, and then everything else is from the boy that's left, so hitting on 3s. Okay, and that explodes, so we'll stay in. Wounding on 3s and 2s. Okay, only 1 wound from the knob, but 4 wounds come through. And she fails 2. Now, me being an absolute pleb on that, she only has 3 wounds, and the big chopper's a 2 damage weapon. So on a 1, 2, 3, it was the big chopper that did the wound, killing her. On a 4, 5, 6, it was the boy. So she has 1 wound remaining. So she has 1 wound remaining. Okay. So she has 4 attacks and she hits on 2s. Okay. Strength 4, toughness 5, so 5's to wound. So 2 wounds go through on the knob, on the boy. Failed, he dies. On the knob, failed, he dies. So although grievously wounded with a wound left, she strikes back out with a Palatine blade and kills both the orcs that are in front of her and screams defiance at the boys that surround her, and that her faith in the God Emperor will keep her strong. So Mad Dog McSweeney raises his axe and hits on 2s. He hits her so hard, he gets another one. And he wounds her on 2s. Everything wounds. So she's got 3 wounds left. And has a 4 up invulnerable save. So I'm going to use Miracle Dice. Here we go. Can we get at least 3 4s? You'd hope so. There's 1. Oh, there's 2. She's taken 2 more wounds. She's dead. Okay. With that, a valiant effort, but the Canoness falls. The Mad Dog claims of Canoness's head as his prize. So we did the attacks with the boys off camera, leaving the tank buster left. Managed to do 1 wound to the rhino. So let's see what the tank buster can do with his tank hammer. So 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. Ooh. Okay, so he gets a sustained hit. Excellent. Strength 7, but it's anti-vehicle 4+, and does have devastating wounds. So it does 1 wound, -1 d3 damage, but it saves anyway. But it is hazardous. Okay, so tank hammer explodes in his face and kills him. Perfect. So that marks the end of turn 4 for the Orks, and it's a devastating blow to the sisters. The Canonesses fell. The last line of the first line of defences fell, leaving just the sisters in the Cathedral entrance, plus some vehicles. One of which is pretty much out of action due to being tied up in combat. So turn 4 is going to be a pretty desperate situation, but we think the writing's on the wall. But we'll see. We'll see how many of the Orks, how much of Mad Dog's Waaaaagh that the sisters can take down with them. As we go to sisters, turn 4. So we rolled a 2 for the miracle dice for the sisters as we went into that turn. Gained a CP, which we're about to spend, and essentially the Palatine moved back to again do a little bit more blocking as much as you can into this ruin here around that objective. The Rhino pulled back, and everything else stayed still to try and just give the Exorcists a bit of a boost in terms of what they're shooting at. They need to deal with these lines here, but also need to deal with the booster blaster. So we're going to spend a CP on the grenade strap from that battle sister squad inside the Cathedral. So once more they're going to hurl grenades at the booster blaster, see if they can inflict some more wounds. So 4s will do mortal wounds, and 2 more. So it's got 3 wounds remaining. Okay. So the Palatine fires up the plasma pistol, levels it at the booster blaster, and hits on a 2. It's right in front of you. Spends a CP. And now she hits, finally. I use a miracle dice. It's strength 8, toughness 7, so wounds on a 3. And so now that custom booster blaster has to use its 6 up invulnerable save or die. Very clutch, very clutch. So the 2 exorcists are going to split their fire. Both the heavy bolters are going to go into this squad of boys here, and then they're going to fire their exorcist missile launcher into this squad of boys, and then this squad of Squighog boys. So we'll start with the heavy bolters. Okay, we get 1 sustained. Strength 5 versus toughness 5, so 4s to wound. Okay. So 3 wounds come through. That's 3 dead Orks. Okay. So now it's D6 plus 2 for each one. So the first one going into the squad of boys is for 8, and the one going into the Squighog boys is for 5. So 3s to hit now. It stays still, which would be 2s, and then it's indirect, so going back to 3s. Meh. 3s to wound. Okay. -2 becomes -1 because of cover. So the first one who's left on 1 wound, he's dead. And the second one, okay, fails to save, so d6 damage. So d6 damage doesn't kill it. So then into the boys, 8 shots, hitting on 3s. Okay. Strength 10 versus toughness 5, so 2s to wound. Oh, why? Stupid exorcist. Okay, so -2 becomes -1. So t-shirt saves on a 6 and kills 3. Okay. So at the end of the shooting phase, the Palatine is going to charge. She's going to one last ditch, and she's going to charge into the Squighog boys, because why not? So does she make it in? She does with a 6. Let's see what she can do. So she gets 4 attacks, hitting on 2s. And we spent a CP on Holy Rage to give her +1 to wound. So let's see what she gets. So now instead of 5s, it's 4s. Let's hope for 4 4s. 2 4s. So she can't kill the squad. However, so the first one is -2, 2 damage. So it kills that one on 1 wound. And injures the other one down to 1 wound remaining. He raises his stickers and again hits her so hard, hits her again. 3s to wound. Okay. She has 1 wound remaining. She falls at the last and there's no CP to save her. A valiant effort. She's tried to hold up the Squighog boys, but she bounces off the tough hide and they pierce through the armour. And that's the end of the Palatine. So that marks the end of Sisters turn 4, and we go on to Orks turn 5, and it's looking pretty grim. So let's see whether the Sisters can actually hold this line. Let's see whether the Ebon Blade falls into the hands of Mad Dog McSweeney. So at the end of the Orc movement phase, the start of the turn, we roll a 4 for the miracle dice for the Sisters, and actually we've lost a Sacrosanct squad, which gives us a 2, and we lost a Palatine, which gives us a 5, and we lost the other Sisters squad as well, which gives us a 3. So a whole bunch of miracle dice, which I'm sure are going to come in useful. So apologies, been out of phase, been out of sequence, but you see that they're beginning to pile up. So at the end of the movement phase, Mad Dog's made his way past the statue where they suspect the Ebon Blade has been hidden, takes a little whittle and actually picks the Ebon Blade up, I'm pretty certain. And then the squad, 2 squads of boys make their way forward into the Cathedral entrance. This squad of boys make their way forward. This Squighog boy had a massive 6-inch advance and brought himself swinging round to maybe sort of put pressure on these vehicles as well. So we're going to sort of bypass everything. There's no need to shoot. We're just going to go straight into what Orcs love best and start hitting things. So we'll start with this squad here that is just hitting over the objective marker, and there are 2 boys and a knob left before the weird boy. So everything's hitting on 3s. Okay, nothing sustained today. Really on 3s and 2s for the knob. Okay. So the first 2 that are 1 damage, -1, kills the sister. And then the other 2 that are -1 and 2 damage. They're fine. So only one sister down. The weird boy hits with his staff and hits all 3 times with sustained. 2's to wound. Wounds twice at -1. And kills 2 more by himself. Okay. And that only leaves the dog martyr in the squad. Okay. So pulling the 2 remaining sisters out of combat left the dog martyr out of engagement range of the 2 remaining to fight. So we fought off camera with the tank, and predictably no wounds either way. So that exorcist is tied up. I did move the rhino just to get some models back in, but that rhino was actually sat just there. So that marks the end of the Orks turn 5, and it marks the end of what influence they can have over the battle as such. So there's a big ask. But the only thing left for the sisters to do is, at the moment we've got Orks that are on, we score at the end here, we've got Orks on that objective, Orks on this objective, and then sisters on this objective. So if we can take out Mad Dog McSweeney, and if we can go through all the wounds on that truck, then we can call it a draw. So the dream is not dead, but it's just highly unlikely. So as we go on to sisters, turn 5. Start of the sisters turn, we roll for miracle dice. That's a 5. We also roll for miracle dice for the squad of sisters that were tragically lost in battle. We had 6. Okay, so we move on to the sisters turn proper. Let's see what we can do. So that was quick. The only thing left to move really was the dog martyr. The exorcist stayed in combat. The rhino stayed where it was, but is outclassed just to hold the Orks up if it can. The dog martyr embarked upon the rhino and is going to exit the battle grid in an effort to try and rally the rest of the order back onto this point and see if we can take back what's rightfully ours. And so the exorcist have a job to do now. We're going to fire out of combat. We're going to try and clear our lines a little bit, leaving just one of those if we fire into combat with the heavy bolter. But everything from the exorcist launcher, from this one and from this one, is going to go into the into Mad Dog and into the truck. So we're going to use a miracle dice on the truck. I'm going to use a 6, so we get 6 plus 2. Then we're going to roll for how many shots go into Mad Dog McSweeney. Okay, so 4 shots going into Mad Dog McSweeney and 8 shots are going to go into the truck. So the change to the sisters is each unit gets access to a miracle dice, if I remember rightly, but either which way. So the one that's in combat is going to fire everything into the truck. So 8 shots in on 4. Okay. So strength 10, toughness 8, so 3 to wound. Okay. I may have left it too long, but I'm going to spend a miracle die, a CP. Oh, I left it too long. Okay. So 3 wounds come through. -2 becomes -1 because of indirect and cover, etc. Oh dear. 2d6 damage. 10 wounds to get through. Come on. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. So the shots into Mad Dog Let's see what happens. Let's see if Mad Dog survives to tell the tale. I think he might do with only one hit. Okay. But it does wound. But he passes. And with that, that is how this story ends. Mad Dog collects the Ebon Blade, tucks it into his armour. The Dog Marcher retreats. The Exorcists retreat off this battle grid. But they may return. Now they know who holds the Ebon Blade. They know where it is. Mad Dog is a marked man. They will hunt him down. And they will find him. And they will take back what is theirs. The question is, can they? See you again soon. Thanks for watching if you've made it this far. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, see you on the next one.